Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, Republican state legislative leaders share their views on the upcoming session, and we'll find out how to successfully grow fruit trees. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Arizona Senator John McCain released a statement today saying that he was the one who gave the FBI information regarding claims of a Russian blackmail plot against President-elect Donald Trump. In his statement, McCain said, quote, "Late last year, I received sensitive information that has since been made public. Upon examination of the contents and unable to make a judgment about their accuracy, I delivered the information to the director of the FBI. That has been the extent of my contact with the FBI or any other government agency regarding this issue." Trump today dismissed the blackmail allegations, calling them fake news and a witch hunt. The Arizona legislative session began this week with new leadership in the House and Senate. We welcome Senate President Steve Yarborough and House Speaker J.D. Mesnard to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.
How do you see your role as leadership?
I see myself as the person who's responsible for serving the people by managing the process, trying to move the legislation through, adopt a budget for the state of Arizona, serve all the members of the body as best I possibly can.
As far as what you would change from your predecessor, what you would do differently, what you would continue to do, how are you going to be different?
You know, I think that's going to have to be something that others will probably judge better than I would be able to do that. My predecessor was a highly effective president, in my view, served 4 years in that capacity and did an excellent job, I would say, and of course he got elected to Congress by the people of District 5. So I think we'll just have to see. I will have a different style, I'm sure, but hopefully it will be one that will be effective.
Your role as leadership in the House, what do you see?
So I wear two hats. On the one hand, I am the Speaker of the Chamber, so I represent the entire institution on the House side, and also as the head of the Republican caucus. That's my second hat. But mostly I see myself as someone who is there to empower the members of the legislature on the House side. And I'm not a person who is interested in hoarding power unto myself. I really am a delegator and want to see others succeed. So I believe in bottom-up leadership and see myself really more as someone who's going to speak for and represent and advocate the things that my members in the House would like to see done.
As representing the entire House, how do you make sure Democrats or Republicans that may not see the same things that you see or an eye to eye on certain issues, how do you make sure their voices are at least heard?
Well, I think it starts with open lines of communication, which we have. So far in the last couple of months, I think if you ask them, they would say we have a good dialogue going. We have standing meetings that are occurring beginning tomorrow. So obviously we're going to have moments where we disagree and disagree strongly on some things, but it's important that we remain civil and that we don't get caught up in the politics too much. So I'm optimistic. We're off to a good start.
And as far as, again, you're president of the entire Senate here. There will be those that simply do not see things the same way you do, and there's an entire party represented in that chamber as well. How do you make sure at least their voice is heard? Because there have been complaints, and we've heard it on this program, that they're just completely ignored.
Certainly not going to be my approach to ignore those folks. I met today, for example, with the entire leadership of the Minority Caucus. They are people who I personally like. I think we get along very well. So I'm going to strive to give them every opportunity to be effective in the process. They represent people just as much as the folks in my caucus do. So they are important. I'm going to try to reach out to them and engage them. And of course, we still will have our differences.
As far as the governor's State of the State address on Monday, give me your thoughts here. And are you in agreement with some of the things with many of the things? He threw out a lot of ideas there, especially regarding education. What are your thoughts?
Well, I found a great number of things that he had to say that I certainly agreed with. I'm a huge advocate of the fact that I believe if you put a great teacher in the classroom, you're going to impact student achievement in a dramatic way. I think that's an imperative, and there are a number of his initiatives that go to that subject. So I'm very, very hopeful that we can implement many of the things that he suggested. It will, of course, come down to what can we afford.
Right, and I think that's the question everyone's asking. I mean, we can go through the list here as far as the governor's ideas, signing bonus for low-income school teachers and funding bonuses for high-performing low-income schools. A lot of things were thrown out there in that State of the States address. So where are we getting the money?
Well, the big question is the money going to come from the existing pot, or are there going to be other places? I know he's not talking about a tax increase. I know he's not going to be interested in borrowing money or raiding the rainy day fund. So is it going to be a reallocation of existing resources? Is he going to find efficiencies throughout the executive branch? That's what we're all waiting to see come Friday.
Right, Friday was when the budget is released, and we'll probably get
Correct.
a better idea. But I mean, are you in agreement with the ideas of these funding bonuses and signing bonuses, state assistance for all-day kindergarten? Do you think those are wise ideas?
I think the full-day kindergarten needs to be vetted a little bit more. We had a version of that, 10 years ago, and I couldn't quite tell from the short part of his speech where he mentions it, what exactly he has in mind. He seems to be focused on, and I share this priority, early childhood literacy and reading by 3rd grade, and those are things that have to be a priority. But how full-day kindergarten would fit into that remains to be seen.
Were you surprised to hear all-day kindergarten mentioned in his speech?
I wasn't surprised to hear it mentioned, but I was a little surprised to hear him advocate for it. But I was pleased that he talked in terms of the students from the poorest districts, because the peer-reviewed academic literature, the quality research demonstrates that any benefit to go from a half day to a full day of kindergarten really accrues primarily to students who are from our poorest areas. They're going to benefit the most. The rest, not so much.
And with $24 million extra available here for the next budget here, we're already hearing from Democrats and critics that this is basically lip service. You've got to find a way to pay for all this stuff.
And that's what we're going to have to wait and see how that's accomplished, just as the speaker indicated, because can we afford it? Because $24 million is not going to go very far, and if you look at the consequences of Prop 206, much of that money is going to be taken right there.
Yep.
When you hear the governor saying these things and listing out all of these things, you're sitting right behind them. We saw you there.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? I mean, are you thinking someone better have a good idea how to pay?
Certainly I was thinking, how do I maintain a straight face? But in all seriousness, I think that what he did was lay out a vision. And then you got to figure out, how do we get there? And it could be we take some steps this year and we take some steps next year. And so there are a lot of different ways we could tackle it. Obviously, dollars and cents are a big part of it. And so the question is, how can we reprioritize within our existing funds to make sure that some of these areas start to be tackled this year, and then plan for future years when perhaps the revenue is a little better.
I know Democrats before the speech came out with an idea of capping the money as far as tax credit tuition programs. I know you're involved in this line of work, and I want to get to that in a second here. But as far as capping it now and using some of that money for teacher retention, for teacher recruitment, does it make sense?
Well, it actually is counterproductive, and it doesn't make sense, because we know that the scholarship tax credits are budget positive. They result in generating more money for the general fund. And so to do that is really, frankly, quite counterproductive, doesn't achieve the goals of improved student academic achievement, and doesn't make more money available, makes less.
How does it make less?
Because the average scholarship that we give for a student is dramatically less than we pay to educate the same child in a public district or public charter school.
You know, we've seen differing numbers on that, though. We've seen people saying that those numbers aren't necessarily accurate. Where do you get your numbers? How do you justify that?
I get my numbers from the exhaustive report that the Department of Revenue annually generates in great detail, which lays all of that out, demonstrates what the scholarships are, how much money is raised. So we have a very robust reporting system that demonstrates, I believe, that that's the case.
As far as these STOs are concerned, you're still the executive director and legal counsel for one of them, correct?
I am.
So you do benefit from the program.
I benefit from the program in the sense like virtually every other member of the legislature. I have a job. We're a citizen legislature. You have to work somewhere. I happen to work as the CEO of a charitable organization that does great things. But to that extent, absolutely.
When critics say that's a conflict, especially when you either sponsor or push or support, otherwise vote for legislation that would help your business, how do you respond?
It's probably the most thoroughly examined issue in the history of the state legislature. It's been reviewed and studied by multiple attorneys for the Rules Office, and so it's clearly not a conflict under our law any more than a teacher who votes for the budget that impacts them, or a community college or university professor. All of us have an impact if we are engaged in a process that in any way relates to the government.
So not against the law, but do you think it's right?
I absolutely don't think there's anything wrong with it.
As far as expanding these tuition tax credit programs, what do you think about that idea?
Well, I'm going to continue to be a champion for school choice, and the tax credits and the ESAs, Empowerment Scholarship Accounts, are two tools to do that. I think the vast majority of my caucus, the Republican caucus on the House side, would be supportive of it. Obviously, the Democrats won't be. So that will be, I suspect, a hotly contested issue this session.
So you think that'll come up again?
It has come up every year that I've been there.
I
don't expect anything different.
No surprise there. Here's a surprise. The governor wants to add a year to TANF, the food stamp program, the cash assistance to families for another 12 months. Were you surprised to hear him say that?
I was a little bit surprised. I mean, we obviously just reduced it from the 24
Yes.
down to the 12 months. So the big question is it just a pure rollback to 24 months, or are there some welfare reform elements that are going to be included in the proposal? Those are the types of questions we don't know. We also don't know if this is being driven by some sort of financial impact that we didn't realize would occur when we went from 24 to 12. So there's a lot of unanswered questions.
I was going to say, were you surprised to hear the governor say that?
I confess I was. It took me aback a bit, but we'll see. And we've heard some reporting that suggests that it's actually economically beneficial to the state to extend it back. And if that evidence is there, then that may make some good sense.
The minimum wage increase has already been mentioned a number of times as being something that could be a fly in a number of ointments. Is this going? And the other side is basically saying they're going to use it as an excuse. They're going to use it as a. How is this going to play? What's the dynamics here of the minimum wage increase as far as the budget is concerned?
Well, the dynamics are real because those contractors that we have out there who are providing really important services, particularly to the disabled communities, and they're working in the cafeterias of our schools and their teachers' aides, those folks are going to get more money, or they are now getting more money, and that's going to have an impact on the budget because those school districts, they didn't have those funds setting aside. And so it's going to have an impact, and it's going to drain at least some or maybe much of that $24 million.
I think people will hear that and they'll say, what are these people are so important, why are they getting minimum wage?
Well, that's a good question. And I think one of the misconceptions about what minimum wage is supposed to be is I don't see minimum wage I'm not sure that minimum wage should be a living wage. It's supposed to be temporary. We start somewhere and we work our way up. Somewhere along the line, some people got it in their minds that it should be something you can support a family on, or at least something we need to increase by 50% is what 206 increased the minimum wage to, making us actually one of the highest in the country, higher than some states that have a much higher cost of living. So I think it's going to have a negative impact economically, but as legislative leaders, we're seeing it impact the state budget. And unfortunately, it's put us in a position where, with limited resources, we've got to pick and choose where it goes. And I would love to have invested more in K-12. We're going to do everything we can to make some important investments as the governor laid out, but we have to also be aware of these restrictions that are coming down because of the proposition.
Last question, first week of the session here. When the session ends, when sine die occurs, what will be the major headline for this session? What do you think the big topic is going to be?
I think the big topic at the end of the day will be that we made progress in moving the ball forward for public K-12 education.
What do you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree. Obviously, the governor has made that the priority. It was 2/3 of his speech centered on 15 different areas that we could look at. So I think for sure the theme of the session is going to be K-12 education.
K-12 education missed opportunity because the funds weren't there, or K-12 education, look what the governor got?
I think it's going to be K-12 education. We made some good first steps, and we'll continue those steps in future years.
You agree with that?
I do indeed.
All right. Good to have you both here. Thank you
to be
so
with
much
you.
for
Thanks,
joining
guys.
us. We appreciate it.
We want to hear from you. Submit your questions, comments, and concerns via email at arizonahorizon@asu.edu.
Citrus has been a big part of Arizona's agricultural history, and fruit trees are a staple in many neighborhoods and backyards. But how best to plant and nurture citrus trees? For the answer, we turn to Greg Peterson of the Urban Farm. Welcome to Arizona Horizon. What is the Urban Farm?
The Urban Farm is my home. I live in north central Phoenix. It's a third of an acre, so that's about 80 feet wide and 160 feet deep. And I've got fruit trees planted on the property,
I'll
about
bet you
80
do.
of them.
Holy smoke. Okay,
Yeah.
and you do pop-up nursery events. What are those?
Yeah, so about 17 years ago, I started educating people about fruit trees. And so in this fall every year, they can take free fruit tree classes from me all the way through into January, February, and they can pre-purchase trees. And then in January, February, and March, we do a pop-up nursery where we bring in the trees that they purchased, and they can come down and get them and learn, the best nutrients to put on them and how to plant them. And
Well, let's start with some of these lessons.
All right.
How do you know what kind of fruit tree to select?
well, there's a lot about that. First of all, citrus is one of the 5 C's of Arizona.
Sure.
Right? So we know it grows well here. So in the citrus arena, you pick what you love. One of my favorite things, navel oranges.
Yes.
They're ripe right now.
But all right, I'll stop you right there.
Okay.
I've heard navel oranges are tough to grow.
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Piece of cake.
What about compared to juice oranges?
Juice orange, well, the Arizona sweet juice oranges, they're
They're pretty easy to grow.
pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
But navel oranges aren't that far behind.
Wow.
And it really is in how you plant them and nurture them along the way. That's the big thing.
So as far as what works best in Arizona, the answer is everything?
Kind of. With citrus, the answer is everything. With deciduous trees lose their leaves in the winter. They're apples, apricots, plums, peaches, pomegranates, figs. They all do great here depending on the variety. So for those, the deciduous trees, you need something that is low chill.
Talk to us about that, because we're not getting much chill this winter at all.
We're not getting that much chill this winter. That is the case. So low chill, we get about 300 hours of chill here in the Valley of the Sun. And there are plenty of all of those varieties that I just named that do great here. So like my favorite peach is a desert gold peach. It ripens mid-May, and it is, once you eat a desert gold peach fresh off of a tree, you can't eat a store-bought peach anymore. So you have to pick the right variety, but then it's just like, what do you want to grow?
So you pick the right variety,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking at your tree, your little box tree there, and you're saying, now what do I do?
Now what you do. So it's really 80% of success with fruit trees is how you plant them. So you want to dig a big hole, the bigger the better in our desert soils. When you put nutrients back in the hole, you want to put only a little bit of the desert soil back. You want to add compost. I say at least 50% compost. We use a rock dust mineral called azomite that really boosts the growth of the tree. And then there's other things that you can add, like mycorrhiza. That's life in the soil. So once that's done, you get the tree in the hole, you get the nutrients in there mixed nicely. The big thing that we need to do is you need to put at least a 6-foot basin around the tree and add 4 to 6 inches of mulch, wood chips around the base of the tree.
Keep it cool.
To keep it cool, to start building the soil real healthfully. Now, for us on flood irrigation, I'm on a flood lot, I know you are.
Yes.
It's a little bit simpler, and I still highly encourage that they put a basin around the tree and put wood chips in the basin.
So as far as sun and shade is concerned, obviously you want some sun, but this is Arizona. That's a tough sun.
That is true. So for the first few years of your fruit trees, if you can give them some western shade until they grow out and they're shading themselves, you're golden.
Yeah. Okay, so watering.
Watering. I'm glad you asked.
I mean, flood irrigation lots, we're lucky.
Yes.
Okay, but even now, it's the wintertime, you're never quite sure what to do. If you don't have flood irrigation, how much do you water these things?
Great question. So I take a clue from the flood irrigation. We get it once a month in the winter and twice a month in the summer.
Right.
And the fruit trees do great, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that's what I encourage people to do. In that basin that we put around your tree, you want to stick a hose or a bubbler. You know, you
yes.
want bubblers, not drip irrigation. The quickest way to kill your trees, put them on a drip irrigation line.
Why?
Because you're not getting them enough water.
Okay.
They get like a gallon of water once every 2 days or so. That's going to kill your tree. The second quickest way to kill your trees is to put them in gravel mulch. If you put them in a gravel yard, it's a solar oven out there.
Oh, yeah.
So again, rake back the gravel and put the basin in place. And then in grass, Bermuda grass, your Bermuda grass can outcompete your tree. So you just cut back a basin
yes,
and
yes.
put the wood chips in the basin and let nature do the work.
As far as fertilizing, I have heard, correct me if I'm wrong, I've got a lot of trees in my yard, so it's worked pretty well for me so far, but I'm not the urban farmer.
There you go.
Valentine's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day.
Beautiful.
That's
Have
pretty
you been
much
listening
it.
to me?
No.
That's
I got
great.
that a long time ago.
Oh, perfect.
So that's basically 3 times a year during those kind of generally around those areas.
Yes, and actually we like to add a fourth one in.
Ooh.
So Valentine's Day,
Yes.
Tax Day,
Oh.
Labor Day.
So hit them hard.
and Memorial Day and
hit them
Labor
hard
Day.
in the spring. Then.
Yeah, exactly, when they're growing. And use a good organic fertilizer.
Oh yes, that was my next question.
Yeah, there you go.
Fertilizer. How do you do
Fertilizer.
that?
So, there's the citrus fertilizer, and it's just nitrogen generally. So it gets you, a lot of growth. It doesn't get you a lot of fruit. I like to use a nice organic fertilizer. We sell 50-pound bags of BioFlora organic fertilizer. It's made here in the Valley at our pop-up nursery. So, and then I usually put about a pound per tree
Yes.
per session.
Okay.
So 4 pounds a year.
And how long, because again, I've got experience here,
Yes.
how long before that cute little tree becomes something that will consistently give you more than an orange or two?
3 years.
You're right. You're exactly right.
Imagine that.
But it's almost like clockwork.
Yeah.
For our trees,
Yep.
I actually charted them. That's how much of a nerd I am.
Oh,
I would
cool.
chart how much each, and after the first couple of years, nothing, one, nothing.
Yep.
Third year,
Third year,
boom.
boom. Yep.
Why is that?
Absolutely. Well, they need time to get established. If you add the azomite and the mycorrhiza and the compost in the hole when you're planting it, you might get it in second year, but they really need to get established. And if a fruit tree is setting fruit in its first year, it's concentrating on setting fruit, not growing.
Right. So when you have that young tree, let it concentrate on being a tree.
Yep, exactly.
And then once the fruit hits, just enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
Can you overwater a fruit tree?
You absolutely can overwater fruit trees. Absolutely. So if you're watering them every 2 or 3 days, with a lot of water, that basically overwatering a tree and underwatering a tree, it's the same damage.
Yes.
The roots on overwatering rot away, the roots on underwatering dry up. So the tree can't uptake the water.
Interesting.
So,
What got you started in all this?
oh my gosh. I think I was born with it. I remember back in the mid-'70s, I grew up here. I've been here actually 50 years this year. Wow. Yeah, and I'm older than that. And I remember in the mid-'70s, we moved into the Weldon house, and my mom said, "Hey, Greg, that's our backyard. See the right half? That's your garden. Go start gardening." And I planted fruit trees in the mid-'70s and a garden in the mid-'70s, and it's my thing to do. The food system is significantly struggling in our culture.
Yes.
And we need to create good, healthy food for ourselves. So my task is to figure out how to really, between now and when I die, make Phoenix a food secure place by growing a lot, if not all of our food here.
And there is a difference, obviously, not just in mechanics, between urban and commercial farming.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Give us a quick example of the difference.
So I have 1/3 of an acre. It's on floodwater. My friend Jake Mace out in Mesa has 1/3 of an acre, not on floodwater. He's got over 200 fruit trees on his property.
Wow.
Basically, what we're doing is we're designing with Urban Farms, and we'll be doing urban farm tours this spring. We're designing with Urban Farms edible landscapes so that there's always something to eat. It's like a food forest in your front,
something comes
and backyard.
Yeah, oh, I got you. So something's always ripening and ready to go.
Exactly. 365 days a year, we can harvest a meal out of the yard at the Urban Farm, and there are thousands of people out there doing this as well.
Well, you got one of them here who's kind of doing it. I don't know if I'm quite
Nice.
sure. I'm not more in overalls or anything, but we're
That's
kind of
all right.
getting it done.
I'm not either.
Congratulations on Urban Farm. How do you find out more? Urban Farm?
Urbanfarm.org.
Urbanfarm.org.
Yep.
All right. Good to have you here.
Thanks
for joining us.
Yes.
And Thursday on Arizona Horizon, we'll hear from Democratic state legislative leaders about their plans for the upcoming session, and we'll look at a local fashion incubator aimed at helping startups and existing fashion designers. That's at 5:30 and 10 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.